Couple of former MVPs in the building tonight. Ryan Braun had a great year last season against the Chicago Cubs. And Chris Bryant. The Cubs are in town for the first time, and Bryant, a .377 hitter against Milwaukee last season. Brewers Cubs coming your way next. Thursday night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It is a cold night once again. The roof is closed up and we're ready for baseball. Central Division rivals, the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And hi everybody, we welcome you from Miller Park. Great to have you with us here tonight. This run for the Brewers against Central Division rivals continues and rock tonight. The Cubs are here. Last year they won the division and the rivalry is renewed, and both teams are hopeful that they'll be in the postseason this year.
Yeah, and hopefully for the Brewers it comes down to dethroning the champions, the Chicago Cubs. 3 straight playoff appearances. They got a World Series. They won a division 2 years in a row. When you look at the all-time record between these two teams, you see the last 7 years, but only 8 games separate them. There's only one bad series. That was the Brewers a few years ago. But the one way you got to get to the Cubs this year is play better at Miller Park. You see 3-7 for the Brewers against the Cubs here at home, but you got to go a little bit deeper than that. 5 of those games were extra inning games, so very competitive. Both of these teams playing very well on the road. The Brewers have to make a statement and tell the Cubs we're for real. They got to start winning here at Miller Park.
A couple of lefties on the mound here tonight. John Lester for Chicago, Brent Suter for the Brewers. And we'll talk a little bit of pitching when we continue. Sophia Minner standing by down below. She had a chance to catch up with tonight's starter, Brent Suter. That's all coming up next as we march our way to first pitch. Brewers and Cubs, the I-94 rivalry tonight from Miller Park.
Just the energy in the ballpark is so much fun. They're games that you get up for.
When we play the Cubs, we play like the last game of our life and a World Series game.
There's really no team that I enjoy playing against more than the Cubs, just because of the energy and excitement in the building every game.
Well, there will be a lot of energy and excitement in Miller Park tonight. It is finally time to renew the I-94 rivalry. The first meeting between the Brewers and the Cubs, the start of a 4-game series. Let's take a look at tonight's pitching matchup. It'll be John Lester for the Cubs. The lefty career has gone 3-2 against the Brewers, a 2.77 earned run average. Brent Suter as well has good success against the Cubs, hoping to continue that here tonight in the series opener. Good evening, everyone. Sophia Minert here at Miller Park. And for Brent Suter, he has success to build up against, following his first start of the season against San Diego. He went 5 innings, a 3-run ball with 4 strikeouts, but maybe more importantly, the success he's had against the Cubs. He has made 2 starts against them. He's gone 1-0, and he has got a .73 earned run average. He's allowed just a 2.27 batting average as well. So for Suter, it's about how he matches up with this Cubs lineup. Feels good about his game plan coming into tonight's game.
Got some good kind of groundwork for how to get these guys out, but they're going to counterpunch, so it's just a matter of counterpunching their counterpunches, kind of finding new ways to get them out if they're kind of figuring out how to barrel me up. So it's a good challenge. I mean, these are good lineups. Obviously, these are the Central is really strong this year, so got to find a way to, like I said, get better every day and keep getting outs.
Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, and the Cubs are here for the first meeting of the season between the Brewers and the Cubs. We've got first pitch and lineups coming up next here at Miller Park.
Got to win his first time out in San Diego. Thursday night from Miller Park. Roof is all closed up on a 37-degree night outside Miller Park. There's Joe Maddon once again taking his Cubs to the National League Championship Series a year ago. World Series champion 2 seasons ago at his 3rd managerial stop. Potawatomi batting order for Joe Maddon and the Chicago Cubs. Ian Happ will lead off, then Zobrist, then Chris Bryant. In the middle goes Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, and Albert Almora Jr. Addison Russell, Javi Baez, and John Lester round out the starting 9 that will match up against Brent Suter, partner.
Yeah, he won his first time out. That was at San Diego. 5 innings, 3 runs. He got off to a bit of a shaky start, but really settled down, making his 3rd career start against the Cubs. He's currently 1-0 against Chicago.
First pitch of the ball game is down and in, able to check his swing, and we're off and running at Miller Park. This run of division series games for the Brewers continues. This is game number 4 of 10 straight against either the Cardinals or the Cubs. Cubs are here for 4. Happ back in that leadoff spot. He hit the first pitch of the season out of the ballpark. First pitch he saw, the first pitch of any game in the major leagues this year. Happ was at the plate and he hit a home run in Miami, starting his year with a bang.
Man, he's scuffled ever since. You can see that you know, the 125 batting average.
Only 2 hits this year, and down he goes on strikes, and this one starts for Brent Suter with a strikeout.
Well, let's check out the Brewers as they line up defensively. A little bit different in the outfield. No Christian Yelich. He's got the oblique issue. You got Braun, Kane, Santana. Santana, not a bad guy to fill in out there and right. Joel Arcia, Hernan Perez gets a start at second base. Aguilar slides over to first base with the left-hander Lester on the mound, and Jet Bandy once again catching Brent Suter.
Guys getting a chance to get in the starting lineup. Second start of the year for Perez, and Aguilar finally breaks through to the starting lineup. He's done a good job as a pinch hitter. Christian Yelich is going to be down for a few days. Sophia will have more on that story a little bit later. An oblique injury for Yelich. So what began as a very crowded outfield has a way to settle itself, and we're probably not going to see Yelich for a few days. That's why Aguilar gets the start today. Typically against left-handed starters, and the Cubs have Lester up today. You'd see Braun at first and Yelich in left field, but Aguilar, a very capable replacement in this scenario. One of the strengths of the Brewers is to be able to put together a quality lineup each and every day, regardless of who is starting or coming off the bench on a particular day.
Yeah, you always like to have Yelich in the lineup, but you know, the silver lining to that is you get a couple of guys some playing time. You get Santana out there, and Aguilar, he's the guy that needs a start, get him some at bats so that later on in the season you can count on him for some productivity.
Switch hitter Ben Zobrist with a line drive, a base hit. And the Cubs with a man on. First hit of the ball game comes from Zobrist.
Yeah, Zobrist's been swinging a hot bat early in the season, coming in at 364. Not too many of the Cubs have been swinging it all that well. There you see that cut fastball that stayed out over the plate. Boy, talk about getting on top, right? Look at that swing. Level through the strike zone and rips it into left field.
A former World Series MVP in Ben Zobrist. And he is on for Chris Bryant. Bryant drops to third today in Madden's lineup. Anthony Rizzo hitting cleanup. Often you'll see Madden like to get Bryant in the 2 spot with Rizzo hitting third. That's been a familiar lineup for the Cubs. The Cubs are striking out a lot to start the season. They played 5 games, albeit 2 of those games were extra innings, and one of them was a 17-inning game. 58 strikeouts in the first 5 games of the season. So a little bit of a shakeup in the lineup for the Cubs today as Bryant reaches out, sends one to center field, and it's going to stay in as Lorenzo Cain brings it in at the track.
Had him out in front, but still strong enough. The leverage that guy has. Yeah, tall right-hander, gets those long arms out there, and he was out in front on that pitch and still able to take Cain to the wall. Check it out. Curveball way out in front, a little bit off the end, but still almost able to hit it out of here. Chris Bryant's off to a good start this year. Swinging the bat. Zobrist, Addison Russell's been swinging it well.
2 gone for Anthony Rizzo. He has scuffled at the plate to begin the season. Just 3 hits so far for Rizzo. He does have a home run. He is one of the few left-handers in the lineup. Suter will face 2 left-handed hitters. John Lester also hits left-handed. Got a couple of switch hitters at the top, and Happ and Zobrist. A couple of southpaws on the mound matching up against each other here tonight. Cubs have been off, by the way, since Monday. So they played a game Monday. They were postponed due to rain Tuesday in Cincinnati, and then had a scheduled off day yesterday. So this will be their first game since a game they had in Cincinnati on Monday. Feels like a kind of a second season restarting up for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, John Lester was supposed to make that start on Tuesday, but forced to sit a couple of days, and he gets the nod tonight.
Rizzo fouls it back, gets jammed, and it's 2-2. Cubs are going to go with their top 4 starters here against the Brewers. Tyler Chatwood is the one who is being skipped, one of the newcomers in this Cubs rotation. Cubs will send up Hendricks tomorrow, and then Yu Darvish will get the ball against Zach Davies on Saturday. Series finale is Sunday afternoon. Chase Anderson against Jose Quintana.
That's a pretty good starting rotation in it the Cubs have, and but they're off to a slow start.
Now both of these teams giving up a lot of earned runs from their starters to begin the year. Their bullpens are 1-2 in the National League in bullpen ERA. Starting pitching's been a different story. Right up the pipe, Bandy will make the play, and that will end the inning. And a good start for Brent Suter. Gives up a 1-out single, but strands him at first. Brewers coming up. By Hupy and Abraham, voted best, rated best. Hupy and Abraham, tell them you mean business. By Miller Lite, great taste and only 96 calories. And by Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Exciting moment here for the Brewers against the Cardinals on Tuesday. That walk-off home run. Craig Counsell and his Brewers off to a good start, winning 4 of their first 6 games, and now ready to start week 2 of the season. Potawatomi batting order with Kane, Santana, and Braun at the top of the order. Shaw, Aguilar, and Perez, with Arcia, Bandy, and Suter rounding out the starting 9 that will match up against John Lester. Lester, his second start of the year, was the Cubs' opening day starter a week ago, and did not pitch well in that game against Miami, giving up 4 runs, 3 earned, Rock, in 3 1/3 innings.
Yeah, really what didn't have his good stuff. He said he didn't feel comfortable at all, and I guess the numbers bore that out. He's only making his 2nd career start at Miller Park. That's amazing. As long as he's been around, he's only made 1 other start here in Milwaukee at Miller Park.
Lester spent some time on the disabled list last year, a couple of weeks with a shoulder injury in one of those windows against the Brewers, but that is surprising that he would not have matched up more often against Milwaukee.
Did not start at all against the Brewers last year. Now, how is that possible?
As Pete Vukovich would say, they knew our schedule. Kane into center field. That's off the end of the bat. And Happ coming in to make the catch. I beg your pardon, Almora for out number 1.
Well, let's check out the Cubs as they line up defensively. You got Happ, Almora, and Zobrist in the outfield. You don't have to worry about Schwarber. No Hayward out there in right field. You know, Bryant, Russell, Baez, and Rizzo. The Cubs have committed 4 errors as a team. Chris Bryant has 2 of them, and Wilson Contreras, the very good throwing catcher behind home plate.
2 left-handers sit, Schwarber and Hayward, with the left-hander on the mound and Suter. Here is Santana, fly ball to Almora. And on 4 pitches, Lester has 2 outs in this first inning. Brewers with their season low in hits yesterday got shut out by the St. Louis Cardinals. It was a 5-hit effort by Milwaukee as Ryan Braun steps in. Braun was off yesterday. He and Christian Yelich go back-to-back on Tuesday night in the 9th inning. Terrific comeback by the Brewers Tuesday, and the only game the Brewers won in that 3-game series with St. Louis. So far, the pattern has been for Braun to hit a game-winning homer and then get the next day off.
Well, let's hope he gets tomorrow off then.
Sure, absolutely. I like that theme. Ryan has 3 hits on the year. 2 of those 3 hits are 9th inning, 2 out, game-winning homers. The first one was on the road in San Diego, and of course Tuesday was the walk-off variety here at Miller Park.
One in San Diego on a 0-2 pitch. Brewers down by a run. Yeah, the other day a first pitch that he knocked out for the win, a walk-off. He's had good success against Lester. 7 for 16 career against John Lester.
Braun didn't like that call. Home plate umpire Brian O'Nora.
And Bronny telling Brian O'Nora, if Lester gets that pitch all night, we're going to have a rough day. A little bit off the outside corner. You can see Lester's velocity down quite a bit, 90 miles an hour.
Braun a little bit late on this fastball. That one in there at 91. Yeah, I think velocity early in the season, not as much concern, but it's certainly on the radar, not just for Joe Madden either. Craig Counsell has had a couple of starting pitchers with their velocity down a little bit, Chase Anderson and Jhoulys Chacin. So you're hoping as the weather warms, as you get into the season, get into the flow and the rhythm of a season as a starting pitcher, then the velocity will come back as Lester misses down and in, and the count at 3-2.
And a lot of times too, you know, pitchers, as you get through spring training, go through that dead arm phase where the arm doesn't hurt, you just don't have the pop out of your arm, and sometimes you kind of work your way through that. You'll see velocities go up as the temperature goes up.
Here's a payoff pitch. It is outside, ball 4. And Braun is aboard with a walk. So after Lester gets the first 2 outs quickly, Braun with a long at bat and draws the walk.
This ought to be interesting with John Lester out there on the mound. Let's check out the Pizza Hut for the win against John Lester. This is what the Brewers have to do. All right-handers in the lineup, position players wise, that could benefit, you know, the Brewers. Get them early, don't let them settle in. I mean, you get an opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. And there you go. On your mark, Ryan Braun takes off. Good call, Rock. He didn't even let me get it out, right? I was going to say it, but John Lester does not throw to the bases. And Ryan Braun just look at this. He just takes off and nobody even there. Brewers do this to Lester every time.
Your Pizza Ranch for the win is on point tonight. Well done. Nice start. Put some pepperoni on there tonight.
Yeah. I get
spices.
I get a bonus. And nobody does that better than Ryan Braun. I mean, take you know, the risk that you take by walking off the bases like that. Look at him right now.
And he takes off. Lester stops and throws, and Braun is out at third base. Lester threw it in the dirt, but Bryant was able to pick it. And Lester's got a little wry smile for Ryan Braun on his way out. So the inning ends at third base. They're going to take a quick look at this just to make sure.
You see the throw. I mean, terrible throw, but in plenty of time to get Ryan. And clearly out at third base.
And that'll end the inning. So here we go to the second. Cubs coming up. No score at Miller Park. A caught stealing to end the inning at third base. Here we go to the second now. Suter goes to work against Wilson Contreras.
Kind of a risky move. I mean, I get getting into scoring position on Lester, particularly with the left-hander up against the left-handed pitcher, but you know, you don't want to ever make a third out at third base.
That ball's ripped into left field. Contreras out to Braun. And a line drive single, the second Cubs hit. That's the way the second inning begins for Brent Suter.
Well, he's in scoring position with 2 outs after the walk and the stolen base, and he's banking on the fact that Lester is going to forget about him. He takes off. He steps off, and I guess he did that on purpose. I mean, 1 hop, sometimes a couple of hops is going to get a base runner. He just cannot throw to the bases. It's amazing.
It's one of the things we saw from Lester, and what we've heard from the Cubs, that Lester is just throwing the ball into the ground and letting his infielders scoop him or pick him on the 1 hop. It's been actually a better plan for him than to try to throw an accurate toss over to a base. There's a jam shot. Arcia goes to second for the lead out on the slow roller. Really no chance to double up Almora. So the Brewers get their first out at second base. Almora at first on a fielder's choice.
Yeah, good pitch by Suter, getting in on his hands, and no chance for the double play. He likes to work inside that cut fastball. He said he really didn't have much of a feel for it. I talked to Jet Bandy before the game, who caught Suter in San Diego, saying that he kind of figured it out after about the 3rd inning. It was much better. So we'll see if he mixes in the other pitches a little bit more tonight.
Bandy making his second start of the season as Addison Russell takes strike 1. You feel like Bandy is becoming the Suter catcher, or does Craig Counsell want to keep that somewhat flexible?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see, a personalized catcher for Brent Suter, but you got to get Bandy in the game every now and again. Get him in there once a week at least, and give Pena a day off. I guess if it worked the first time, why not go back to it?
Had great success against San Diego. That capped off a 3-game sweep of the Padres. There's a little soft liner into left center. Russell is aboard. Turning and running to third is Almora. Throw is late, and that's going to allow Russell to go to second base.
Yeah, got to throw to second base there. I mean, Contreras got a really good jump, and he was going to make it easily. The throw goes to second. to keep Russell at first and keep the double play alive. You see an off-speed pitch, and Russell stays right on it. And Ryan, if he had to do over again, probably throws this ball into second base. No chance at third.
Suter imploring Braun to throw to second base. So now the Cubs threatening with second and third and one away for Javier Baez. He jumps on the first pitch and a fly ball foul. Dangerous hitter in the 8th spot in this Cubs batting order. A guy with plenty of power. A major weapon for Joe Madden, hitting in front of the pitcher spot. And this is why Madden has a guy like Baez in this position, because the way out of this inning for Brent Suter is to retire Baez, and then he'll have Lester with 2 outs.
But you can't make mistakes even with 2 strikes. I mean, Baez is the kind of a hitter that can look bad on 2 strikes. Then you make a mistake and he'll hit one out of here. You got to make your pitches. You can pitch to him, but you got to make them.
Baez off to a slow start, has just 2 hits on the year, 20 plate appearances, does have 1 RBI. Not many changes in the Cubs position player grouping. They did make some changes on their pitching staff, adding to their starting rotation and a few bullpen additions as well. They had additions in some key places, including their closer. Brandon Morrow is now closing games for Chicago after his Dodgers eliminated the Cubs last year in the NLCS. Tyler Chatwood and Yu Darvish joining the rotation as well.
And a bullpen that has been terrific. They got an earned run average in the bullpen for the Cubs under 1.
Now the Cubs ERA, their bullpen ERA is 0.69, best in the league. Brewers bullpen ERA 1.32, second best in the National League. Baez pops it foul and out of play. Count remains at 3-2. Well, the Cubs are striking out a lot. Suter could use one here. Second and third, 1 away. 2 hits in the inning. Cubs have 3 hits through their first 7 batters. That one's back up the middle, a base hit. Coming in to score is Almora. Russell right behind him. He'll score. 2 RBI single for Javi Baez, and the Cubs strike first tonight.
Yep, fastball down the middle, up a little bit. It looked as though he got in on his hands a little bit, but not able to muscle it into center field. You want to get that pitch up a little bit more than that. 88, mid-thigh, and Baez able to turn on it and poke it into center field. 2-run score. That's why you throw into second base. You keep Russell at first, and only 1 run would have scored on that base hit.
3 hits in the inning now, and here is Lester. Likely up there to bunt. Shaw coming in. Lester not bunting. Back up the middle. Perez misplays it. And everybody will be safe. Baez turns and runs to third. Now he's coming home. Throw to the plate and safe. Just a disaster defensively for the Brewers. And it's 3-0 Cubs.
Boy, that's pretty good run hustle by Baez. All the way from first base on a baseball that barely made it into center field. I think Perez thinking about the bag and turning a double play. He misses it, and then Kane misses it. I think it's going to be a base hit. An error on Kane, allowing Baez to score. That's a heck of a slide, too. Look at that. Wow.
Clearly safe. Baez taking advantage of the Brewer miscues defensively.
Could be a double error. That could be 2 errors in that play.
Brewers down early again. 3-0. Last 3 games they played, they have fallen behind quickly. They were able to come back from a 4-0 deficit on Tuesday. Got down early yesterday and lost the game 6-0 to St. Louis. Still just one out. Lester at first. Back to the top of the order in Happ.
Yeah, Perez has that ball in his glove. It's a double play. Lester is running down the line. Kind of took his eye off of it, and well, you saw what happened.
Right now, the official scoring is that it's a fielder's choice for Lester. There's a broken bat, and Suter's going to second base to get the lead out. Risky throw, but it works. And Happ will reach on the fielder's choice.
Okay, if it's a fielder's choice.
Fielder's choice and then an E4.
And then an E8.
It's got to be an E8 because
you can't have a fielder's choice and a base hit.
And Baez was not running to the plate until Kane bobbled the baseball.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that decision, that scoring decision, but hey, the run's in regardless.
Brewers committed 3 errors yesterday. Suddenly a team who was off to a great start defensively is having their trouble. So it is Zobrist now. 2 outs in the inning. Happ replacing Lester at first base. Shift is on for Zobrist. 3 infielders on the left side, expecting him to pull on the ground. Had a base hit his first time up. Clean single to left. One ball, one strike. Zobrist takes ball 2. Puts a lot of pressure on your offense when you get down early. That's why starting pitching, while baseball is evolving into more of a bullpen game, starting pitching is still extremely important. You got to get to a point where you're going somewhat extended. Nobody's going 8, 9 innings anymore, really.
5 innings. I think organizations are happy with that these days.
Broken bat, ground ball, foul. 2-2 the count on Zobrist. He'll need a new piece of lumber.
Didn't get a whole lot of help defensively in this inning.
By the way, they have added to the error total. So there'll be a fielder's choice E4, E8 on that same sequence off the bat of Lester.
Had to be. I mean, you can't have a fielder's choice and get nobody without an error.
And you think about the miscue by Braun in left field. That does not go as an error, but certainly a costly mistake. Not a good inning for the Brewers, trying to get out of it. Zobrist to Braun, and he's got it for the 3rd out. But the Cubs score 3, hustling their way to an early lead here at Miller Park.
first game in the 7th inning with right oblique stiffness. He is out of tonight's lineup, but manager Craig Counsell saying they are hopeful that Yelich will just continue to be day-to-day. They'll continue to reassess him as the days move on, but it is possible that he will miss a few days with that oblique injury. And I had a chance to catch up with Yelich just before the game started. He said he's still dealing with some soreness there. He said he's never dealt with an oblique injury before, so he's not quite sure how many days it'll be before he's ready to rejoin this lineup, but said overall feeling a little bit better, and just said we'll have to see how the next few days go.
All right, Sophia, thank you. And you know, one of the other challenges with that, once you finish the series here at Miller Park against the Cubs, you go to St. Louis, and the weather is going to be cold, outdoor venue.
Right.
Got to be careful with those obliques. They are slow healing injuries. Travis Shaw leading off for the Brewers.
And if you don't catch them early and kind of rest a little bit, they can linger for a long, long time.
A bad oblique injury is at least a month. I don't think Yelich is at that point. Caught it early. His players are instructed to try to get ahead of things like that.
And it's sore. He doesn't remember any specific incident where, you know, he hurt it, which is always a good thing.
A couple of former Red Sox matching up here. Lester against Shaw. And Shaw rolls over one. That is fair. Right to Rizzo, and that'll be out number 1. Cubs get 3 runs in the second. 2 errors and a misplay to go along with 3 hits. Here's Jesus Aguilar. All those at-bats coming in pinch hit appearances. Aguilar did remain in the game to play first base yesterday after his pinch hit at-bat. Craig Counsell saying it's not as imperative to manage the lineup with a guy like Aguilar as he lines one to left. Not as imperative coming out of spring training, Rock, because there's a lot of at-bats in spring training. So a manager feels like, according to Counsell, you have about a 2-week window where you're not so concerned about regular playing time for some of your bench players. But this guy just continues to hit however much he's playing.
Well, especially for the guy like Aguilar, who's very good coming off the bench. I mean, he might go a few days without an at-bat and give you a very solid plate appearance when he's called upon and late in the game. So he has that all figured out, how to stay ready. That's what makes him so valuable. That's why the Brewers do not want to lose him.
Hernan Perez, his second start of the season.
It's hard to find good pinch hitters in the game of baseball. It's a very difficult job.
Perez still looking for his first hit of the year. And Lester's got him down 0-2 quickly. Hernan starts at second base tonight. Jonathan Villar, a switch hitter, but Counsell preferring this right-handed bat as opposed to the Villar right-handed version. So a lot of lefties on the bench for the Brewers. They're carrying 5 bench players. Only right-hander on the bench is Pena. Villar the switch hitter, and then Thames, Sogard, and Yelich, all lefties, but can't imagine Yelich would play in this game tonight. So it's a 4-man bench essentially.
Well, you never know. You could use him in different spots. Doubt he's going to get in that bat though. Probably run, play some defense. That doesn't bother him.
No balls, 2 strikes on Perez. Aguilar the runner at first, and a swing and a miss. Lester pulled the string on him, and a strikeout for out number 2. First strikeout for John Lester.
Hey, the Crew and the Cubs continue their 4-game set. Limited inventory remains for Saturday's game. However, great seats are still available for both tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon, with tickets starting as low as $20. Go to Brewers.com for information.
Brandon Woodruff and Kyle Hendricks tomorrow. Davies and Yu Darvish on Saturday, and then Anderson versus Quintana Sunday. Arcia fouls the first pitch off. Orlando had the day off yesterday. Eric Sogard starting at shortstop. Brewers saw a very tough ace pitcher yesterday. They're getting aces in back-to-back days. Carlos Martinez went 8 1/3 scoreless yesterday, struck out 10.
Yeah, that fastball changeup combination was deadly yesterday. Cutters, sliders. I mean, he's had some rough outings, but has not had many rough outings against Milwaukee.
And minus an error by the Cardinals in the 9th inning, had a chance to finish that game yesterday. So back-to-back games, the Brewers facing opening day starters. Lester made his 3rd opening day start for the Cubs. This is his 4th year with Chicago. 4th year of a 6-year deal. Could extend to a 7-year contract. There's a team option at the end of that. He has been everything the Cubs had hoped for. A workhorse, gamer, winning pitcher.
Yeah, kind of a so-so year last year, but really finished strong. Really strong in September.
Arcia chased one. Down he goes. Back-to-back strikeouts, and Lester with 2 scoreless. It's 3-0 Cubs as we go to the 3rd. It's the best network for streaming baseball because your stadium should be where you make it. Chris Bryant will lead off for the Cubs as we go to the 3rd inning. Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras against Brent Suter. Cubs get 3 runs on 3 hits and 2 errors in the 2nd inning. Cubs have 4 hits for the game against Suter. Bryant flew out to deep center his first time up. One of the best players in the big leagues right here. MVP 2 years ago, following up a Rookie of the Year campaign 3 seasons ago. He's been right in the middle of all of this winning for the Chicago Cubs.
Well, think about what he's accomplished in a very short period of time. All that and a World Series championship. He's had a lot to do with it.
No balls, 2 strikes. On the ground, little cue shot to Aguilar. He'll race to the bag and he'll beat Bryant. He's a big man, but he is light on his feet, and Aguilar able to get the 3 unassisted.
Yeah, the only man over on that side of the infield, and Suter able to pull the string and get the out barely. Yeah, like the hustle from Chris Bryant on a routine grounder to first. Sniffing a base hit, but big fella beats him.
Some big tree trunks coming at you if you're Chris Bryant.
Look, I get those hands out of the way.
I'd get down too. Here's Rizzo in the left center, and Kane will run it down for out number 2. 2 quick outs for Suter.
Rizzo off to his typical slow start, right? But his numbers are going to be there at the end.
What a combination they found here in Bryant and Rizzo. Marquee, once a generation type combo, and they're going to be able to keep those two together as well. I mean, the kind of payroll they can absorb in Chicago, there'd be no reason, unless they just didn't want to be members of the Cubs, there'd be no reason financially why they would go elsewhere.
Maybe they'd like to play here in Milwaukee under a roof.
For a discount.
That'd be nice.
We'll give you the roof for a small discount. Wilson Contreras with 2 outs. Suter trying to make it a clean inning. Brent's strength is his tempo. When he's in the windup, able to work quickly. Gets the hitter a little bit on the defensive, right? He's a guy that knows what he wants to do. He's already thinking 2-3 pitches ahead. So he doesn't spend a whole lot of time developing that, as Contreras lines one to right. And he is 2 for 2, and he's hit the ball sharply twice off Suter.
Yeah, left that one out over the plate, and Contreras, well, he's turned himself into a good hitter. Not just a pull hitter. Spanks that one into right field. Check it out. Watch where the pitch is. Up out over the plate. Up a little bit too much. I think Bandy wanted that ball down, but Contreras goes right with it to right.
2-out base runner. The Cubs have their 5th hit already. And Almora way out in front. Almora reaching on a fielder's choice. Scored a run. Oh, and 2 the count. Brewers trying to solve the riddle of the Cubs here in their home ballpark. Last year, the Brewers went 6-3 at Wrigley. They struggled here at Miller Park against Chicago, though. 3-7 last season against the Cubs. And those are the hard numbers. As Almora down the right field line, that's down fair. Takes a bad bounce for Santana, and this is going to bring in another run. Throw to third is late. It's an RBI triple for Almora. 4-0 Cubs.
Well, you retire Bryant and Rizzo, and then what happens? You get a single, triple, and the Cubs on the board again. Contreras with a couple of hits, and there's a cut fastball up in the zone. I think the Cubs are starting to look for that pitch up in the upstairs. And both of these base hits with 2 strikes coming to right field.
Oftentimes, slicing line drives like that will bounce up and over the wall. And it would be a ground rule double, which would have worked to the Brewers' benefit there. Instead, it's a triple and an RBI. And a 2-out RBI at that. Albert Almora with his first run batted in of the season. 4 runs on 6 hits. Here's Addison Russell now with a runner at third. But, you know, Rock, thinking about the 3-7 record last year, that last series here at Miller Park against the Cubs, a 4-game series, was one of the best regular season series you'll ever see.
Well,
the first 3 games in that series went 10 innings. Dramatic games in all of those games. And with a play here or a moment there, you never know. The Brewers could have certainly flipped that script last year in their home ballpark.
Yeah, 3 extra inning games in that 4-gamer at the end of the season, and 5 overall at Miller Park. 5 extra inning games against the Cubs at Miller Park last year. You're right. It could have been 7-3 just as easily.
Last year, the Cubs went 43-45 in the first half. They were 5.5 back of the Brewers at the All-Star break, but then had a National League best record in the second half, 49 wins. There's another base hit, and another run is in. And it's 5-0 Cubs as Russell is on his way to second with an RBI double.
Well, Suter just can't get the ball down. I mean, he's throwing the fastball up in the zone by design, but that breaking ball right there, I think it was a curveball that just stayed right down the middle of the plate up. Check out where it lands, where it ends up. And that's not where you want to leave a curveball. Addison Russell hits it hard into left for a 2-out double. So 2 outs, nobody on. He retired Brian and Rizzo, and then the next 3 reach. And 2 runs on the board, all coming with 2 outs.
Derek Johnson talking strategy here with Brent Suter. Two gone for Javier Baez. Russell now the runner at second base. Russell's first RBI of the year. And they're going to go ahead and walk Baez to get Lester to the plate. Lester putting the ball in play last time up. He's actually turned himself into a decent bat. He was a guy when he first came to the National League that was an automatic out. But he's worked at it. Got to give him credit. Puts the ball in play.
Put the ball in play his last time up, and it should have been a double play to end the inning, but it kind of sneaked its way into the outfield. And that's right. You just figure out a way to put the bat on the baseball, and maybe something good will happen.
It's all you're asking out of a pitcher in the National League is to make it a little difficult. There's a little half swing. He goes, and Suter strikes him out to end the inning. Cubs add 2 more, though. 5-0 Chicago as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. coming together to give healthcare a better name. We are Ascension. Cubs and Brewers. And the Cubs have a 5-0 lead with John Lester on the mound. Lester the final out, taking a few extra tosses to get loose. He'll face Jet Bandy to start this bottom of the third. And then the pitcher spot, Brent Suter, and then back to the top of the order. Brewers dropping 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals after sweeping their opening series of the year in San Diego. So 4-2 coming in. The Cubs are 2-3. They've struggled in their first 5 games. But they are swinging the bats well here tonight.
Yeah, coming in with a team batting average at .204, but already 7 hits. And Brent Suter having a difficult time with his location early on tonight.
Bandy sharing the catching duties with Manny Pena. His second start of the season. He started. That ball's hit hard down the left field line, but going to hook foul. Bandy's got some power. This is a guy that the Brewers are hoping to get settled in a little bit with Stephen Vogt on the disabled list and see if he can, with regular at bats, tap some of that power that we see in batting practice.
Yeah, so far he's been making pretty good contact. 1 for 5 so far, but hit a couple of line drives that were caught.
These are very important at bats and weeks here for Jet Bandy. Ouch, that hit him right on the top of the foot. Bandy will reach a hit batter to start this 3rd inning.
Take that any day with 2 strikes. And breaking ball from Lester. No problem. Front foot.
And a gift from the Cubs starter. That'll give Brent Suter a chance to get a bunt down. He bunts it in the air. Bryant's going to let it fall. He'll take the out at second base, and Suter will reach first.
Good hustle for Suter. And Bryant thinking that maybe the pitcher's not going to run very hard and try and turn a double play, but Brent Suter getting down that line in good shape.
Bryant played that well. I mean, there is a scenario where if an umpire feels like you drop it on purpose, he's not going to give you that. But the way Bryant kind of settled back, he clearly let that fall. But
you're not going to get, making a mockery of the game by dropping it when you don't even touch it. It's when it goes in the glove and you kind of let it fall to the ground. Right. I mean, that's kind of like in the gray area, but I mean, the exchange is a good one. You get the pitcher on the bases as opposed to Jet Bandy.
Lorenzo Cain with 1 away. Cain flew out to center his first time up. Lorenzo has reached base in all 6 games for the Brewers thus far. He and Yelich off to a great start. Disappointing that Yelich is a little banged up with that oblique injury. As advertised, maybe even more so to start the year. Defensive swing by Cain, and it's 1-2 now.
And Yelich has pretty decent numbers against John Lester. Limited at bats, but 2 for 6. Not too bad for a left-handed hitter against the lefty.
One and 2 the count. Suter with the lead at first, and it'll leave it at 2-2. Cubs don't hold Suter on. Lester's not going to throw to first base, but unlikely you'd see Suter take off. You don't want your pitcher running around the bases. So it does work as a perfect scenario for the Cubs, the exchange of Suter with Bandy.
You take liberties, but you have to have the right guy at first base. You didn't see Aguilar taking off either. He was on first base with 1 out and really wasn't, looking like he wanted to take advantage of Lester.
Well, the first 2 years Lester was here in Chicago, David Ross was his catcher, and the back pick was a big part of the game plan to keep runners close. Carlos Subero, the Brewers' first base coach, is well aware of that, because Wilson Contreras is never afraid to throw to any base, and he has one of the strongest arms going. That's just one way to try to fight some of the big leads that the opposition gets against Lester. A little bit of hesitation. 3-2 pitch. Kane takes a called strike 3. 2 outs. Third strikeout for Lester.
Yeah, he's carving up that outside corner. That's about as good as it gets. 91 miles an hour, down and away. Up, and Lorenzo knew it.
Lester already much sharper here in his second start of the season than he was his first against the Marlins. Could not get through 4 against Miami. Santana swinging again at the first pitch. Santana was 1 for 3 yesterday. Had one of the Brewers' 5 hits in the game against St. Louis. Back-to-back starts for Domingo. He's got a good cut going, but he's under it, and it's 0-2.
Domingo Santana got off to a slow start last year, but then he put on the afterburners as the calendar flipped over to June. Started to hit it more consistently with power.
0-2 the count. Santana takes a called strike 3 as Lester carves that corner again. 4 Ks for Lester. He finishes the inning with back-to-back strikeouts.
And he said, Lorenzo Cain, I like him a lot. He said there is a certain energy that he brings to the game. He said he's a great contact hitter. His defense, he said, Cain really has a propensity for the big defensive play. And he said there's just a certain energy that he brings to the top of a lineup. And he said with Christian Yelich as well, he said you have an already very good, talented young player. He said who you know will get even better with time. So he said really those two firm up what was already a good, solid lineup. And he said this is what you want in a division. He said you want to play good teams. And he said, really, you want that competition. He said the good teams will make your own team better. So certainly this is a rivalry that both sides look forward to playing here over the course of the season.
And you figure that both of these teams are going to have easy time scoring runs as the season goes on. You're going to go through into stretches where you're not getting it done. The Cubs early in the season, the Brewers last couple of days have hit themselves into a wall, but When you're talking about Lorenzo Cain, he makes very tough catches look routine because he gets such a good jump. He understands hitters. And he gets to a spot and really doesn't make catches look all that dramatic. A lot of guys in the outfield will play a fly ball into a great catch.
Into a highlight.
Lorenzo just does the opposite.
He learned from the best, Mike Cameron. Cameron was a fantastic center fielder when Lorenzo was coming up in the Brewers system, and he hitched his wagon to Cameron. Cameron actually went down on a minor league rehab when Lorenzo was just getting started in the organization, and that's where those two struck up a friendship. Turned himself into a terrific major league player. That is a called strike 3, and Suter hits that open door on the outside corner. He found the Lester spot, and a strikeout to start the 4th inning.
Yeah, Brian O'Nora, the home plate umpire, likes that outside corner. The outside corner to a right-handed batter. Marginal off the edge, but O'Nora rings him up. A little too close to take with 2 strikes.
Out in front of an off-speed pitch is Zobrist, a changeup from Suter. Needs a tidy inning. It's been rough so far. Cubs have 5 runs on 7 hits. Suter's been hit hard.
Well, you thought the 3rd was going to be relatively easy for him, right? After he got through Brian and Rizzo, but anything but.
Sharply hit right to Aguilar. Up the ladder he goes to make that catch. Using all of that 6'3" frame. 2 gone in the inning.
That playing even with the bag and surprised him. Actually up on the grass. No problem for Jesus Aguilar.
2 up, 2 down, and it'll be Chris Bryant. I think that one may have stung the fingers of Aguilar. When you don't catch it in the webbing, when you get a little bit on the palm, that'll leave a mark.
And you hope you know, the feeling comes back before you have to hit.
That's right. Bryant, little half swing, able to check it. First base umpire Chad Whitson. Bryant is 0 for 2. He and Rizzo are 0 for 4. And yet the Cubs have 5 runs and 7 hits. Dumps one into left field, a base hit. That is career hit number 500 already for Chris Bryant. He's just in his 4th season in the big leagues. Starting his 4th season.
Right.
It's a lot of hits.
Yeah, you're a week into season number 4.
Players like him don't come around very often.
They want the ball, right?
Milestone.
Yeah, hand it off to somebody in the Cubs dugout, number 500.
We love round numbers in this game. 500 means something.
I mean, somebody in that dugout keeps track of that stuff. I mean, what are the chances that Bryant knew that?
Rizzo in the air to center field, and Cain will make the catch to end the inning. Scoreless inning for Suter. Let's see if the Brewers offense can get it going a little bit. Ryan Braun will start it as we head to the home 4th. Tuesday night, one of the memorable moments of the season already. Ryan Braun with his 4th career walk-off home run. Powerball home run number 4. That career walk-off mark. And the first, Rock, since 2011 for Ryan Braun. And how about 2 game-winning homers in a 4-game stretch?
Yeah, well, he's making his hits count, isn't he? How about Craig Counsell's reaction there? That was great. That's the first time I've seen that. I didn't see that, you know, the night it happened. He was into it.
Both of his game-winning home runs, the one against San Diego last Friday and the one against St. Louis Tuesday, were of the no doubt variety. You knew they were gone as soon as it left the bat. Got to enjoy that trip around the bases as best as you can. Look at this reaction. Fist pump.
You don't want to be in the way of that uppercut.
Saw Christian Yelich there in front of that shot. Christian made the point after the game. He goes, I hadn't even taken my batting gloves off from my home run.
Did he even have time to go through the gauntlet?
Yeah, he had just come back from the gauntlet.
Okay. Good stuff.
You don't see comebacks like that very often, and the Brewers had 2 of them in the first 5 days of the year. Bouncing ball to Russell. Braun retired for out number 1.
Well, they got him on a cut fastball that time. You know, for John Lester, it's 4-seamer, cutter, curveball, and changeup. And he's thrown them all so far tonight.
Only 1 hit for the Brewers. That was the Aguilar single. Travis Shaw steps in on the first pitch. Russell for out number 2. Lester hit the deck on the mound. I don't know if he slipped or if he was actually trying to dive for that ball, but he ended up on his belly.
It was up the middle, and Addison Russell was waiting right there. Yeah, he went after it.
Got pine tar on the shoulder. The baseball pants are dirty.
The thing about it is, if he catches it, who's going to throw it to first?
It's true. He'd throw it right in the ground.
Just let it go.
Here's Aguilar now.
Well, you know, before we went to break, and do you think Chris Bryant knew that that was hit number 500, or somebody in the dugout keeps track of that stuff?
Got to be somebody in the dugout.
There's no way, right? I mean, maybe 1,000, 2,000.
Guys like me keep track of that.
Right.
500's a good round number, especially when you start a career as fast as he's
a lot of hits.
Done it.
Yeah.
No balls, 2 strikes on Aguilar. That one's hit hard too, into the gap in right center. Gonna go to the wall. Jesus Aguilar on his way to second base with a double. 2 Brewers hits, both of them from their big first baseman.
Well, it's impressive what Jesus Aguilar can do. I mean, really, he doesn't play much. He's hit 2 balls very hard already tonight. A line drive to left, and now he hits a bullet into the gap in right center with 2 outs. Look how strong he is. That's a half swing. Just trying to get on top of it and drives it in that direction. Talk about leverage.
First double of the year for Aguilar, and he is in scoring position for Perez. Perez a little bit late, fouls it away. He was gunning for that first pitch fastball. He got it, but a little late on it. Hernan a strikeout victim in the second. John Lester has really had the pinpoint command on the outside corner. Has 4 strikeouts already. Perez is a very good opposite field hitter. He's got that inside out stroke. Start to see some of these Brewers thinking opposite field to try to get a little success off Lester.
He's going to keep throwing it out there until the Brewers prove that he's going to go in that, they're going to go in that direction. That was a cutter that he put on the outside corner that time.
That's the counter to hitters leaning out trying to go to right field. He has that cut fastball that'll break a lot of right-handed hitters' bats. It's been his bread and butter all these years. That was one right there.
He left it up. That's one that Perez like to have back.
Lester's been an all-star 4 times, has 3 World Series rings, 2 with Boston, 1 with the Cubs. Has been a big game postseason pitcher, cancer survivor as well. Phenomenal story, John Lester. Brewers trying to get one across the pay station. Down 5-0. A lot of baseball to be played. 2-2 pitch, and in the air, center field. Well hit, but not enough, as Almora will run it down, and that'll retire the side. Lester's got 4 shutout innings. The Brewers are down 5-0. We head to the 5th.
Slash promotions.
Brent Suter facing Wilson Contreras to start it. Big swing and a miss. There he is. Check out the tattoo detail there, Rob. It's nice. And even the shaved eyebrow.
Well done.
Here, you can hold it.
How long do you know I need to hold it?
At least until the Brewers score a run. Then you can put it down in a safe place.
All right. I'll do it. I'll hold it.
Don't drop it. Don't drop the Thames. Contreras has hit the ball hard twice tonight. A couple of singles. Scored a run in the 3rd. Suter pitching in his 5th inning, coming off a scoreless 4th. And the Brewers need him to extend in this game a little bit. 3-2 pitch. Jammed him in the seats. And he missed. Ball 4. Perfect night going for Contreras. That's a leadoff walk, and a man is on. Suter in the stretch for Albert Almora.
Yeah, didn't bite on that high fastball. That's what Suter counts on. Hitters going after that pitch. You're talking mid to 85 to 87 miles an hour with a fastball. It's a tough pitch to lay off of.
Put that one right by him, but it pops out of the glove of Bandy. Contreras will take second base. That'll be a passed ball on Jet Bandy.
Yeah, just right in and out of the glove. Yep, just wasn't able to get it in the pocket. It rolls away, and another man in scoring position eliminates the double play possibility.
Bandy normally a sure-handed catcher. Uncharacteristic. Suter prepared this entire offseason to be a starting pitcher, but he didn't have a starting role locked up this spring. He always knew he could either be in the bullpen, could be in the minor leagues, could be a starter, but he prepared as if he was going to be in the rotation this year, and that's exactly how it played out. There's a little jam shot out to Perez for out number 1. That'll keep Contreras at second.
And the Brewers feel that Suter very valuable in a lot of different ways. You can spot start him. Right now he's in the rotation. Probably going to be his last inning because his spot is due up third in the bottom of this inning. I would imagine Craig Counsell is going to look for some offense. So Craig's looking to get through the 5th here with his starter.
Addison Russell is 2 for 2. Drove in a run with a double his last time up. Last year, Suter was in and out of the rotation. Been a late bloomer. This is a guy that has always been able to get the job done. I think you're kind of always looking for reasons for Suter not to advance coming up through the minor leagues, because he does have the low velocity, but he never gave the Brewers any reason to keep him back. He's always advanced. He's proven he could get outs. Tonight notwithstanding, Suter has earned his place at the major league level, and Craig Counsell raves about his ability to get outs with his stuffed a little bit of a quirky delivery. He's a Harvard grad, and he's one of those guys that probably has more success in the big leagues, as he puts one right by Russell for the second out. It's a strikeout, number 4 for Suter.
Yep, all fastballs, and he can be sneaky fast the way he comes at you, all arms and legs. He gets rid of it quickly. They're going to walk Baez again to bring up Lester.
Second intentional walk of Baez, who drove in a pair with a single his first time up. But you know what I mean about Suter? I mean, a guy who has the brain power he does, the recall, the ability to digest a game plan and go through all the scenarios that are much more prevalent in the big leagues than the minor leagues. He thrives in this environment of information.
Understood early on that the stuff alone is not going to get outs at many levels. And you talk about the velocity, but how can I get outs? How can I have enough deception in my delivery? How can my pacing work in my favor? And he's learned to do that. Work quickly. Once you start the home plate, move very quickly, and you keep hitters off balance. He's made some mistakes tonight that have hurt him.
Prior to tonight, his last 2 starts against the Cubs, he had given up just 1 earned run in 12 1/3 innings. He pitched well against the heavy hitting Cubs. Both of his starts against the Cubs last year came here at Miller Park. And the Brewers won both of those games last year at Miller Park.
Hey, he won 2 of the 3, right? Starting pitcher for 2 of the 3 wins here at Miller Park against Chicago.
1-2 the count. And Lester takes a call at strike 3. The inning is over. 5th strikeout for Suter. He is through 5. His spot due up 3rd. Let's see if they make a move.
To continue the Beyond the Diamond campaign, a series of community outreach events benefiting the areas of health, education, recreation, and basic needs throughout the greater Milwaukee area.
All right, Sophia, thanks. Here we go to the Brewer half of the 5th inning. Brent Suter probably done for the night. His spot due up 3rd this inning. And the Brewers have Jacob Barnes loosening in the bullpen. So 5 runs in 5 innings. Now the Brewers try to mount a comeback as we go to the home 5th. It'll be Arcia to start it against Lester. Orlando struck out his first time up. He's off to a slow start on the year at the plate, although he did have a game-winning hit in San Diego. Won a game for the Brewers with a 12th inning single. 3 hits on the season. The lack of hitting at the plate has not affected his defense. He has put up some gems defensively already.
Seems like every night he makes one. It's not his glove, his range, it's his throwing arm, or sometimes it's all of them. But he'll hit. He got off to a slow start last year. Ended up hitting around 280.
Arcia finished officially at 277 with 15 homers last year. First 20 games, he really struggled. Matter of fact, his final 115 games, he hit 299. Slow roller. Going to be a tough play. Russell coming in, gloves it, throws it, and it's dug out by Rizzo. Yeah. Heck of a play by the Gold Glover at first base.
Yeah, Russell not blessed with the greatest throwing arm, but he gets rid of it very quickly. That's a tough play on both ends. Anthony Rizzo makes this play look easy and does it about as well as anybody. This is an in-between hop right here. That's a tough play, but he's able to get it, keep the foot on the bag. Gold Glover at first base. Just saved his shortstop an error.
Won that Gold Glove 2 years ago. He and Paul Goldschmidt are battling out those Gold Glove awards each year. Here is Bandy, pulls one foul. Bandy was hit by a pitch, hit by a 2-strike pitch in the third inning. Second season with the Brewers for Bandy. Came to Milwaukee in a deal that sent Martin Maldonado to the Angels. Speaking of Gold Gloves, Maldonado won the Gold Glove for the Angels last season. It was a rare catcher for catcher trade.
Yeah.
But different skill sets of each of those catchers is why the match worked for the Brewers and the Angels to make that deal.
I think the Angels felt as though Maldonado more the everyday guy than Bandy. Pretty much the same guy offensively, wouldn't you say? I mean, Maldonado and Jet Bandy, pretty similar guys.
The potential of the power with Bandy is something that stood out to the Brewers. As I mentioned, Bandy hasn't really unleashed with the power in the big leagues, but the year prior to his trade, he had 8 home runs for the Angels in just 70 games. He had 8 home runs in just 209 at-bats. So if you do the quick math, and it's not easy to do with a catcher, but basically an everyday catcher would get 450 to 500 at-bats if he's playing a lot. So you could at least double that number and maybe go 2.5 times. And so you're looking at a guy that you feel like could hit 15 to 20 homers a year. But he got hurt last year and then was ineffective. Spent some time in AAA, so he hasn't quite crossed over that threshold yet.
Get off to a decent start with the Brewers last year, and then really hit the skids offensively.
High pop-up. Happ on his way in toward the line, and out number 2 for Lester here in the 5th. Jonathan VR will be the pinch hitter. He's the second right-handed option. You got Manny Pena available as well, the other catcher. So VR gets the first crack here at John Lester. That'll bring Jacob Barnes into the game next inning, who continues to warm in the bullpen. And the end of the line for Brent Suter. 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 earned.
It could have been a lot easier. You remember that defensive inning the Brewers had in the second, didn't help them out at all. Could have been out of that inning with 1 run.
Suter walks 4, but 2 of those were intentional walks. VR down quickly, 0-2. Lester working on a 2-hitter. Both hits are singles, both off the bat of Jesus Aguilar. 0-2 pitch on the ground to short. Nice easy hop for Russell. And that'll do it for the Brewers in the 5th. They go in order. To the 6th we go. Top of the Cubs order coming up.
Luis Ortiz took the mound for the Biloxi Shuckers in Double-A. He went 5 innings, gave up just 2 runs on 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts for him on 82 pitches. He is the 5th best prospect in the Brewers organization. You see, he was acquired from the Rangers in 2016 with Jonathan Lucroy and the Jeremy Jeffress trade. And by the way, if you're wondering how Keon Broxton is handling AAA, well, he has a 4-for-4 night, including a solo home run, and the Sky Sox are winning their season opener 3-1.
Nice. That's what you like to hear. Broxton not happy about having to go to AAA, but now that he's there, doing damage in the opener. We wish all the Brewers minor leaguers the best of luck this year. There are going to be a lot of players that we'll see in the major leagues coming up from the Brewer system.
That's going to be a good team down in AAA. I mean, Rick Sweet, the manager down there, he's got a lot of talent to work with. Pitchers and position players.
Top of the order, Jacob Barnes on the mound, coming out of the Milwaukee bullpen. Ian Happ.
Man, Jacob's off to a good start. Pitched on Tuesday against the Cardinals. 2 scoreless innings.
Opposing hitters just 1 for 12 against Barnes to start the year. One-two pitch, and he got a strikeout to start the inning. Barnes had a rough spring, but his last 3 outings, he said, gave him a little confidence coming into the season. He was working on a few things, including a curveball this spring.
Always helps when you throw 95 up in the zone and Happ not able to hold up. It's all about the cutter, though. If he's able to throw that close or maybe throw it for strikes behind in the count, that's when he really has his good outings.
Zobrist takes a fastball for a strike.
Yeah, that cutter at times can elude him.
Barnes can hit 100. He'll consistently ride in the upper 90s. That was at 96, and Zobrist turned it around for a base hit. Ben Zobrist with his 2nd hit of the game.
Off to a great start is Zobrist.
And that'll bring up Chris Bryant now. Cubs have their hitting shoes on tonight. 9 hits already. Bryant had a single his last time up. Good matchup here. These are the kind of matchups you love to see. Power pitcher against a power hitter. Bryant on the ground, chance to turn it. Shaw to second, out. Oh, Perez dropped the ball. Hernan Perez about as sure-handed as they come, trying to be too quick with that. And the Brewers are a nightmare defensively tonight.
Yeah, 3rd error of the game. Yeah, it's awfully difficult to double up Chris Bryant, and you're best off just trying to, think about one. Try to just watch him. He never does close the glove. He just tries to flip it into the throwing hand and just drops it.
It's going to be the 2nd error on Perez tonight. Brewers had 3 errors last night. They've got 3 on the board tonight. So 2 on with 1 away, and Rizzo coming up. Defensively, the Brewers put 3 infielders on the right side with Rizzo. He's had 2 long fly ball outs to center.
And the only reason that Shaw isn't any further over towards second is because of that runner at second base. You got to stay close enough to make sure he doesn't steal.
Arcia, Perez, and Aguilar on the right side. There are occasions when Shaw would go to the right side. Just depends on the setting, whether they want to keep Arcia in his normal position or not. There's a ground ball. Aguilar's got this one, and he'll go to the bag for the sure out. Out number 2 as Rizzo advances both runners. Good pitch by Barnes.
Man, got it on the hands of Rizzo, and there's going to be a time not too long from now he's going to be able to get the barrel on that pitch.
Two gone for Contreras. Has not been retired tonight. 2 hits and a walk. Five to nothing Cubs. They threaten again. Big swing by Contreras. He fouls it back. Barnes has added that new wrinkle of the curveball, which gives him a change of pace pitch, something that's a little slower. He throws it about 84, 85 miles an hour, though.
Yeah, something to keep lefties honest.
Nice to have a repertoire of pitches that start in the 90s. Slider is at 90, cutter at 92, 93, and then the fastball 97, 98. Contreras sends this one deep to center field. Lorenzo Cain back at the wall to make the catch. I think Contreras thought he hit it out. Maybe in a few months it goes to die in center. Inning is over. Cubs fail to score.
Updates sent right to your fingertips. Download At Bat today, free for your smartphone or tablet.
A must-have when you're trying to follow the rest of baseball. Top of the order for the Brewers coming up. Cain, Santana, and Braun trying to break through on John Lester, pitching a 2-hit shutout.
That sounds like a run, and I can finally put down the Thames bobblehead.
Yeah, you've been doing a good job holding that Thames bobblehead. You're doing your part, Rock. Good work.
Committed. It's getting kind of heavy.
What were some of your superstitions as a player?
That's a good one.
Did you ever touch the white line, or did you have anything like that?
No, I didn't have that. I barely touched the white line.
How many white lines down in the bullpen?
They didn't chalk the bullpen. I had a lucky T-shirt, you know, if I, Had a couple of hits, I'd wear the same one. Of course, I'd make sure it was washed.
Lucky perm. Lucky mullet. Little spritz. Kane gets jammed, and Bryant, 4 out, number 1.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking last night, you know, the FS1 game about Carlos Martinez. He had a little drippage going on in the hair.
It's significant drippage, I thought.
The old days in a Jerry curl. Yeah, I didn't go that route.
No?
No.
You just went with straight Crisco.
Just straight curl.
Just natural curl.
Yeah.
So you're saying if you grew your hair out right now, that would be the result?
I'm not saying that. No. You said natural, not me. Gotta understand the times we were dealing with back then.
I know. It's all, don't be embarrassed about it. It's all perspective.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, you went to great measure to get that perm.
Yep.
It's a big league perm.
Every 4 months.
Did you have a specific person that?
Yeah. It was a place. Larry Haney told me about the guy that he went to.
Oh, okay.
It was he did it in his basement of his house.
Larry had a guy.
Larry Haney. Bullpen coach. Yep.
I can imagine a scenario when you get to the big leagues. You say, I'm going to get a couple of suits, and I'm going to get a perm.
That's basically the way it worked. I got the suit first. I didn't have one when I showed up my first road trip.
Got to have a suit. Somebody buy you a suit?
No.
Oh, well, that's sad. Robin Yount didn't step up and
back in those days when you were on the road you couldn't wear jeans. You had to wear a sport coat. You know, slacks. You know, the Sansa belts were huge back then. Remember those? Skin tight, no belt.
Stretchy. 2-2 pitch to Santana. It is a strike called on the outside corner. 2 outs. Lester has 5 Ks. John Lester, everything is on the edges, and he has owned that outside corner.
Yeah, and he's been very consistent with it, and Brown Honora has been very consistent in calling it. Maybe giving him a little bit off the edges, but not really. He has been dotting the I on that outside corner and really hasn't had to come inside all that much. He's throwing the cutter back door to the outside corner and the 4-seamer. And when you have that kind of location and you're putting it down in the zone, I mean, that makes it very difficult on the hitter.
Pinpoint command tonight for Lester. And when you're facing an ace who has his great control, he is tough to handle, especially with a 5-0 lead. Braun up there with 2 away. I was down in the Brewers clubhouse today. I saw a box of old-fashioned white sanitary socks.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I didn't think players had sanitary socks anymore. They're the really thin sock you used to wear over a regular sock that would go under your stirrup. Guys don't wear stirrups that often anymore. But when I saw that box of sanitary socks, it reminded me of the story you tell about Pete Vukovich using one of those sanitary socks as a tie.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a tie on. He had a golf shirt, no tie. He had a sport coat.
I love that. A sanitary sock. Double knot.
Yeah.
Double Windsor with a sanitary sock.
He wrapped the sanitary sock around his neck, tied it up, and
he was compliant. Kangaroo court had to get him on that one.
No, walk down the, the aisleway and the plane. Nobody knew any different.
Braun down the left field line. That is going to be a fair ball. Bounces off the fence. Ryan Braun on his way to second with a double. First extra base hit of the game for the Brewers. It is a Braun double.
See, he tried to come inside. Look what happens. I mean, he hadn't done that all that much. Yeah, pitch down and in, the cutter at 87, and Ryan able to turn it around. And a 2-out double. Only the 3rd hit by the Brewers. The first hit from anybody other than Aguilar.
First double of the year for Braun. On his 4th hit of the season, he does have 2 homers. So Travis Shaw gets a chance here with Aguilar due next. Brewers looking for a quick strike. Need some runs. Down 5-0 in the 6th. Shaw, the lone lefty among the position players in the lineup against Lester. Proved he could hit lefties last year. Lester had him out in front. It's 0-2. Lester's had great command, especially up in the count. See where he goes. Bounces one. Good block by Contreras.
Back-to-back cutters. That time Shaw able to hold up. It's really basically been 2 pitches for John Lester today. The fastball, the four-seamer, and the cutter. So had a couple of curveballs.
Brewers have a runner in scoring position, and Shaw is down on strikes. Not happy with the call. Barking on his way out, and O'Nora lets him bark a little more. Side is retired. Lester with 6 strikeouts, and the Brewers come up empty in the 6th.
I think Brian O'Nora gave him a little bit of leeway, and you can see that pitch, boy, borderline on the outside part of the plate and down 91. And Brian O'Nora gave him a little bit of leeway, let him do a little barking, got back into the dugout to Travis, and then turned around and said something and got tossed.
So Perez goes to third. Sogard in the game at second base now. So this is the whole sequence here. Keep your eye on Shaw going back to the dugout.
And Brian O'Nora gave him a little bit of leeway. I mean, until he turned around. Once he got in the dugout, Shaw turned around and said something else and then got thrown out. So it's not done yet. Watch Travis. He's going to turn around and say something to Brian O'Nora, and that's when he gets tossed. And follow him in the dugout. He's going to be right there. You see him turning around, and Bat Boy a little bit in the way, but that was enough for Brian O'Nora.
Craig Counsell, I thought, was pretty close to getting tossed as well. He stayed in the game. Bit of frustration coming out for the Brewers with John Lester painting on the mound here tonight as Barnes strikes out Almora to start the inning.
He get a guy that's been on the corners that consistently every time, you might get some borderline pitches, which that was. A lot of times you're not going to get that pitch if it's borderline on the edge and borderline down. But tonight, John Lester is getting that pitch called.
Lester having a chat with Joe Madden. Addison Russell. Barnes working in his second inning. Stranded a couple of runners in the sixth inning. There was an error in the inning. Barnes able to pitch through it. Has his second strikeout. Remember, Counsell had already used VR to pinch hit. Yelich is not available tonight. So Sogard, even though he's a left-handed hitter, has to come in. Sogard enters at second base, moving Perez over to third. First ejection for the Brewers, Travis Shaw. Normally a mild-mannered personality. Slow roller. Perez, bare hands. Wow. Low throw, dug out by Aguilar. Wow. Man, on both ends.
Well, that ball was kind of one of those where you thought he might use the glove, but that gives you a sense of the hands of Aaron Perez. He's coming in hard. Yeah, Russell gets down the line really well, and he barely keeps it in the fingers, and kind of throws a changeup over to Aguilar, who's able to handle it. That's good footwork around first base. See the way he spreads those fingers out to get as much surface area as he can to get that ball in his hand.
Good play by Perez, and equally good on the other end with Aguilar. 2 outs in the inning. Javier Baez now, who has been walked his last 2 trips up. Had a 2 RBI single in the second inning, and then a mad dash around the bases to score the third Cubs run. That was part of a 3-run second. Cubs scored 2 more in the third, and thus a 5-0 lead with Lester pitching well on the mound. Brewers walked Anthony Rizzo last year twice intentionally. The last Cub to draw 2 intentional passes until Baez here tonight.
That's a good pitch to Baez. That cut fastball. Just don't leave it up in the zone. Keep it down there. You're going to get him.
1-2 the count. 2 outs in the 7th. Cubs are always toying with the notion of where to hit Baez. Does he hit leadoff? Brings a lot of power to that leadoff spot, but not quite enough plate discipline.
Too many strikeouts, right?
A lot of strikeouts. Doesn't take many walks. But it requires a little bit of skill to hit in the 8th spot in a National League lineup as well. It's an ever-changing at bat, it feels like, depending on the scenario of the inning.
Whether the pitcher is going to bat or not. Sometimes you have to know when to be patient, which he is not.
He's gotten himself into some dreadful slumps in his Cubs career, but he has delivered in some huge moments for the Cubs as well, including the postseason. Full count. 2 outs in the inning, and Barnes misses. Baez draws the walk, and the Cubs are going to pull Lester back and go to a pinch hitter. So Lester's night is over. Up there is a decoy. And with 2 outs, Joe Madden will go to his bench. Looks like Kyle Schwarber is coming up.
Well, check out tonight's time of the game winners. The Pine Tree Supper Club in New London, Wisconsin. If they call the Brewers by 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, they get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. It's offered courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite. That's 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Kyle Schwarber, the slimmed down version of Kyle Schwarber. He and Hayward not in the starting lineup with Suter, the Brewers left-hander, as the starter. Pinch hit appearance with a runner at first. Schwarber's hit a couple of home runs already this year of his 5 hits. Brewers always put a shift on for Schwarber. Interesting shift here. They have Arcia out in the grass.
Well, the guy with the best range is going to be out there. And he's got the throwing arm.
Playing as essentially a 4th outfielder from that distance. One and one to count. Barnes trying to get the Brewers to the bottom of the 7th. Brewers will have somebody other than Lester to deal with. C.J. Edwards. Carl Edwards Jr. is warming up in the Chicago bullpen.
Yeah, as good as that Cubs bullpen has been so far this year, I imagine the Brewers glad to see Lester gone.
Cubs bullpen has only allowed 2 earned runs this season. 26 innings. Started the year by retiring everybody they faced, scoreless 15 2/3 scoreless innings. Not retiring all batters, but scoreless streak to begin the season. Second inning for Barnes. Pitch number 31 coming. 2 outs in the 7th. Schwarber takes a ball. 3-1 now. First of a 4-game series. Cubs will be here through Sunday. Schwarber in a hitter's count. On the ground, Barnes snags it. And that'll retire the side. Good work by Jacob Barnes. 2 scoreless innings. 5-0 Cubs. It is stretch time in Milwaukee.
Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. And by Toyota. Let's go places. 5-0 Chicago. The Cubs have a lead behind John Lester, who has finally been taken out of this game. Hey, a reminder, you can catch Speak for Yourself with Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. Happens weekdays at 4 p.m. Central, only on FS1. Now the Brewers will face somebody other than Lester for the first time. Carl Edwards Jr. coming out of the Chicago bullpen. He'll face Aguilar to start it with the Brewers down 5.
Yeah, last appearance was against the Marlins back on the 31st, March 31st. Gave up a run in an inning of work. He throws hard and has a very good overhand curveball.
Aguilar with 2 hits tonight off Lester. Brewers have just 3 hits in the game. Braun had the other, which was a double last inning. At the plate presented by Wendy's. 2 sharply hit balls. A liner to left in the second, and then he drove one into right center. A double in the 4th inning.
And he breaks out both of his 2 pitches back to back. Fastball, then curveball.
Oh, 0-2 the count. Edwards had the distinction of getting the final out in the World Series. 2016 World Series title for the Cubs. That is a special honor to be able to finish off a World Series game and a World Series title. Edwards came to the Cubs from the Rangers. He was shaky last year, though. There's another little flare that's going to fall. Another base hit for Aguilar.
Yep.
3 for 3 tonight.
On a 0-2 pitch that time. 93 miles an hour with the fastball, and Aguilar having no problems tonight. Gets a start and gets 3 hits. Right off the end of the bat and squirts on out there. That was a cutter. Well, the Brewers with a leadoff base runner. Second time tonight.
Put me in, coach. He's ready to play. Might see him back in there tomorrow. Perez now. Cubs got into a situation last year with their bullpen. They won their division series against Washington, but Wade Davis was really their only reliable reliever, and he went multiple innings in Game 5 of that division series. And then the Cubs entered into the NLCS against the Dodgers, and Davis really wasn't available the first 2 games in Los Angeles, and it left Joe Madden with a lot of holes in his bullpen.
That's what happens when you don't have your closer. Your closer becomes ineffective. It throws a monkey wrench in the whole system out there.
Dodgers won that series, advancing to the World Series. Back-to-back years, Dodgers Cubs making up the National League Championship Series. And the Cubs have been to the NLCS 3 consecutive seasons. Losing to the Mets, beating the Dodgers, and then winning the World Series, and then losing to the Dodgers last season. Needless to say, the rest of the Central Division is trying to take down the 2-time division champion Chicago Cubs.
Yep, they're the team to beat, no doubt.
Perez in a 2-2 count. Hernan is 0 for 2. Second start for him this year. Started the game at second base, has ended up at third after Travis Shaw was ejected. Got him. Edwards strikes him out.
Little cutter again. Took a little off, 92 miles an hour, a little wrinkle in it, not much. You see the rotation on it. They're not out in front of it.
And a meeting at the mound. Jim Hickey, who is the new pitching coach of the Cubs, replacing Chris Bosio, reuniting with his former skipper in Tampa Bay, Joe Madden. That is a familiar pairing, Jim Hickey and Joe Madden.
Amongst the many things that we've seen here tonight, one of the most amazing, the fact that Wilson Contreras has not made a mound visit yet. How many do you think he'd make in a typical game? I mean, 6 or 7?
Yeah.
I mean, he'd go out there 3 times in an inning.
Yeah, I think that rule specifically for Contreras and Martin Maldonado are the 2 catchers that come to mind. By the way, I need to make a correction. That was the final out of the World Series was Mike Montgomery, not Carl Edwards. I beg your pardon. But he pitched prominently in that postseason 2 years ago. Arcia trying to scratch through and get his bat going a little bit. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Arcia down on strikes. Back-to-back Ks for Edwards.
Just taking maybe 2-3 miles an hour off that cutter, and has had now 2 guys way out in front. Perez, now Arcia. Not a lot of movement. It's just his way of taking a little speed off of that pitch, and Orlando Arcia swings right through it.
Here's Jed Bandy. This game tonight feels a lot like last night's game. Brewers just unable to get going offensively, shaky defensively, and running up against an ace who shut him down. Lester goes 6. Last night, Carlos Martinez went 8 1/3. No balls, 2 strikes. And a foul tip into the middle of Contreras, and the side is retired. 3 consecutive Ks for Edwards after the leadoff single. We go to the 8th.
Bay Rays. And in the 12th, it was Hanley Ramirez with the walk-off RBI single to right to score Jackie Bradley Jr. That was coming off of David Price throwing 7 shutout innings for the Red Sox, so they would go on to win that one 3-2 in the 12th.
The Bo Sox and the Rays. Look at that celebration there, Rock.
Didn't want to be caught, did he?
It's as much as Hanley's run in a while. He's gassed after that. New pitcher is Lieutenant Dan. Dan Jennings on the mound for Milwaukee as we go to the 8th.
Yeah, he was in last night's game against the Cardinals. Tossed a scoreless 9th inning. Gave up a hit, a walk, and struck out a batter. Picked up a win on Tuesday against the Cardinals in that nice come-from-behind victory for Milwaukee.
Dan Jennings, the former Tampa Bay Ray, released by the Rays at the end of spring training. He was set to make $2.5 million, and the Rays didn't want to take on that kind of salary as they are in a rebuild, so he became available, and the Brewers were able to sign him. He's been good so far. He's got Happ at the plate to lead off, and first ball swinging, line drive to right center, base hit. Base hit number 10 for the Cubs tonight. Here's Ben Zobrist, who is 2 out of 4. Only Cub without a hit tonight among the regulars is Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo and Bryant combined 1 for 8 in this game, and yet the Cubs lead at 5-0 and have out-hit the Brewers 10-4.
Yeah, bottom of the order is getting doing a lot of damage tonight. We've seen that happen quite a bit in the early going this year. Bottom of the opponent's batting order, creating problems.
Jennings spent time in Chicago on the south side playing for the White Sox. His best year came as a White Sox back in 2016. Certainly familiar with the Cubs. Those two play an interleague series every year, a home and home, just like the Brewers have their matchup with the Twins. There goes the runner. Little half swing gets by Bandy. And that'll be a steal of second base for Happ. And Zobrist was able to check his swing.
Yeah, Jennings right away went down to the first base umpire on an appeal. And Bandy able to get a piece of it, and Jennings able to grab it. I'll tell you what, it looked like Zobrist went pretty close.
Happ was running with the pitch, so a stolen base for him. 1-2 the count on Zobrist. Cubs threatening here in the 8th inning. Perez, long throw in time for out number 1. By the way, that ejection for Travis Shaw was his second as a Brewer. Had one last year in July. Shaw ejected after being rung up by Brian O'Nora. He was in the dugout, but he did turn and re-engage with the home plate umpire. I think O'Nora was staring down into that dugout just to see, and once he did that, it was over. See you later.
Yeah, you get a little bit. I mean, certain umpires will give you a little bit more than others. I thought O'Nora did a good job to allow Shaw to say his piece, but then that last little bit was enough. Some umpires are going to throw him out right away.
Yeah.
You know, I thought the home plate umpire in this case tonight gave him a little bit.
No balls and a strike on Chris Bryant. Dan Jennings now pitching his third day in the last 4. Extremely durable left-hander. That's part of what makes him valuable. It was a year with the White Sox. Actually, the year he was traded from Chicago to Tampa Bay, he pitched 77 games. Bryant with a base hit. Happ on his way home. Throw goes into second base. And Chris Bryant with an RBI single makes it 6-0 Chicago. RBI number 5 for Chris Bryant on the young season.
No, he just covers the plate so well. It looked like cut fastball, got it in on his hands, but I tell you, he's got the leverage. He's big and tall. He's strong enough to muscle it out there into left field. And Happ able to score without a throw. Ryan Braun tosses it into second base.
First earned runs allowed by Dan Jennings. Brewers were shut out last night 6-0, and it is 6-0 tonight with the Cubs in town for game 1. Want to know to Rizzo. There's a strike. Cardinals had their home opener tonight. They are in the 8th inning. Diamondbacks lead St. Louis 3-1. Adam Wainwright started that game, lasted 3 2/3 innings, gave up 3 runs, had a hamstring injury at the end of spring training. That was news yesterday here in Milwaukee, with the Cardinals going to Wainwright, who was very adamant about pitching in that home opener. National League West is going to be a tough division this year. Dodgers, Rockies, Diamondbacks. Giants made some additions this offseason with position players, Evan Longoria and Andrew McCutchen. Pirates won again tonight, Rock. They're 5-1.
Yeah, how about that?
They beat the Reds 5-2 at home.
A great start. Nobody gave them a chance to contend this year. You never know, do you?
Wave and a miss, and Jennings strikes out Rizzo for out number 2. Well, last year the Brewers surprised many with their excellent play a season ago, finishing 2nd in the division, accelerating maybe the decision making by the front office to make a stronger run this year. The acquisitions of Kane and Yelich, and fortifying the bullpen, Albers and Boone Logan, late add of Dan Jennings.
Good additions to an already good bullpen.
Hit hard. Contreras into the corner and left. Bryant on his way to third will hold up there. It'll be a double for Contreras. 3-hit game for Wilson Contreras tonight. Three hits and a walk for the Cubs catcher.
You see that fastball that he left right down the middle of the plate. Contreras with the nice level swing, the high finish, rips it down the line. No chance of it leaving the ballpark. Actually looked like he thought it might, but hits a bullet out there. Hit too hard to score Bryant. So Jennings getting a little bit too much of the plate in this inning.
He's given up 3 hits. Albert Almora now. Did he go? Did not. Checks his swing. 2 balls, no strikes.
Manny's been all over the place behind home plate tonight. A lot of work for him.
Catchers feel badly games like this.
Yeah.
I mean, the pitchers give up the runs, but the catcher is so closely connected to the game plan and working with the pitcher. Sometimes the catcher takes it harder than the pitcher.
Yeah, they do. I can tell you.
2nd and 3rd now. A little tapper back to the mound. Jennings will make the play to end the inning. Cubs get 1. They add to their lead. It's now 6-0. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Brewers at the plate.
Plus, as always, here from manager Craig Counsell.
All right, Dario, thanks. Looking forward to that. You got a Bill Schroeder appearance on the Brewers Live postgame. Is that right?
Yeah. I did the pregame show today. Me and Augie are going to split duties out there this year. Augie doing the majority of it. Augie off today. He'll be back tomorrow in the pregame show.
New pitcher rock is Steve Cishek. He'll take over in a 6-0 Cubs lead, bottom of the 8th.
Cishek, the side armor, signed a 2-year contract with these Cubs back in December. And last year went 3-2, a 2.01 earned run average. Yeah, I was with Seattle and Tampa.
Jason Hayward in right field. And Eric Thames will pinch hit. First ball swinging. Fly ball is going to stay in as Happ will run it down for out number 1. Brief appearance by Eric Thames off the bench. Top of the order. Here comes Lorenzo Cain. Well, Cain's on the Powerball home run leaderboard. hit his first home run on Monday. Ryan Braun with 2 game-winning homers. Chopper up the middle. Russell, 2 outs.
Hey, it's a great weekend to make it out to Miller Park as the Brewers and Cubs continue their 4-game series with a 7 o'clock matchup tomorrow night, followed by 3:05 on Saturday, and a 1:10 p.m. matinee on Sunday. Great seats are still available, starting as low as $20 per ticket. Go to Brewers.com.
Game 2 of 19 between the Brewers and the Cubs this year. 6 series between these division rivals. Santana on the first pitch. And CHN puts the Brewers down quietly on 4 pitches. To the 9th we go. 6-0 Chicago. And at that point, after 2.5 innings, it was 5-0. Cubs added 1 in the 8th, and it has not been a pretty sight for the Brewers tonight. But Rock, this is a game where we're probably going to see both closers who haven't pitched in a while, and Corey Knebel will enter this one in the 9th inning despite a 6-0 deficit.
Yeah, it's been almost a week for Knebel. Last pitched on Friday against the Padres and picked up a save. Had a 3-up, 3-down 9th inning in San Diego that included 3 strikeouts. He's got 1 save, 2 opportunities.
Knebel facing Addison Russell.
Never want to keep Knebel on the sidelines too long. I mean, it's not good for the curveball. Needs to have that consistent curveball. And it seems like it gets better the more he works.
Knebel had a blown save on opening day in San Diego and then came right back the next day and was dominant. Struck out the side to earn his first save of the year. All-star closer from a year ago, Corey Knebel. The premium piece in that bullpen. Not many like him. He's one of the few closers that throws a curveball.
Big one. Big overhand curveball. And when he's right, he can throw that pitch for strikes when he wants. 3-2 pitches.
In the air, left center. Braun is over, and he's got it for the out. Sounded like it was off the end of the bat a little. Russell flies out for the first out. Now Knebel coming back after his blown save, right back on the horse on Friday. And this was vintage Knebel here.
Yeah, he said, you know what, I work on the curveball some other day. It was all fastballs, all 14 pitches, and just blew him away and ended up picking up the save. That was a nice come from behind victory for Milwaukee. 5 in the ninth.
Yeah, Braun hit the go-ahead home run in the top of the ninth, capping off a 5-run inning, and then Knebel shut the door quickly on San Diego in the bottom of the ninth. Brewers swept that series, but they are in danger here of dropping 3 of their first 4 at Miller Park to start the season. Yikes, that got him. Baez hit by a pitch.
Trying to come inside, got him on the arm, just above the wrist. There's a look.
You run the risk when you take inside pitches turning that way with your chest to the pitcher as opposed to turning back. You run that risk.
Yeah. Open yourself up. That's how you get hit in the hand. You know, you roll with that, you turn the shoulder in, and it hits you in the shoulder instead of the hand.
Jason Hayward batting for the first time. Javi Baez has had an interesting night at the plate. He drove in 2 runs with a single in the second inning. He had a dash around the bases. Improbable run scoring play in that second inning. Brewers committing 2 errors in that inning. And then he's walked 3 times, twice intentionally, and then been hit by a pitch. Been on 5 times tonight. Strike 2 on Hayward.
Not sure what he's saying to Aguilar, but he's doing all the talking.
Knebel's got Hayward 0-2. Two and 2 now. Hayward not in the starting lineup tonight, with the Brewers starting Brent Suter, a lefty. Starting to slip more into a platoon these days with Jason Hayward, even though he's got a monster contract. Cubs have been able to cover the lack of productivity from Hayward. He's probably, I would say, their biggest question mark from the position player group.
Terrific defensively out there, but your right fielder, he needs some pop in that bat. Home run numbers down for him, batting average is down. Most of his damage comes into left field. More of a spray hitter these days.
Hayward hit .259 last year. Hayward does have 5 Gold Gloves, though.
Yeah.
And he's won the Gold Glove each of the last 4 seasons. There's no question about his defensive skills. 3-2 the count. Cubs signed him to an 8-year contract. That was a deal that Hayward signed prior to the 16 season. Had a year in St. Louis. Signed the big deal. Started his career with the Braves. launches this one. Hayward will send it way out. 2-run homer.
He turned on that one, didn't he? Wow. So much for going the other way. Now Corey tried to get him up in the strike zone. He wouldn't bite. And had to get one down in his zone. He knocked it out of here. 96 miles an hour. Inner half, and he turns it around.
Second homer of the year for Jason Hayward.
Yeah, he got all that one. Good extension. Drove it out of here.
8-0 Cubs. And a night that cannot end fast enough for the Brewers. Here's Happ now. Big swing and a miss. Hayward's first home run of the year. RBIs 3 and 4 on the season. A pinch hit. I beg your pardon, a home run in his first at bat. Brian O'Nora hearing it from the Brewers dugout again. One and two the count on Happ. Down he goes. Strikeout for Knebel.
Dropped the curveball on him. And one of the first he's thrown tonight. And it was a good one.
Tommy LaStella's going to pinch hit. Hitting for the pitcher, Cishek, after the double switch. This has turned into a get 'em tomorrow kind of game.
Yeah. Well, yesterday was that.
It's the beauty of this game, though. When you get into the regular season, you usually have a game tomorrow. Easy to dust them off. Oh, Knebel's down. Knebel's hurt. Oh, this is not good. Grabbing at his left hamstring. Remember in spring training, early in the spring, Knebel left the game as a precautionary measure.
Yep.
Where the hamstring had said he had a little tightness, a cramp.
A little wet mound out there in Maryvale. They took him out. He said it was all right.
Boy, the last thing the Brewers needed to see here is their closer down in a heap.
Yeah, in an 8-0 game.
Yeah. A night to forget. Knebel cannot walk under his own power here as the two athletic trainers come out to get him to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
He cannot put any pressure at all on that left leg.
The landing leg.
Brewers did not have anybody warming in the bullpen. As Knebel being helped off the field. They're hoping for the best for him, but that does not look good.
No. No, it does not. Oh, watch the left leg, the landing leg. right away.
Man. Well, instead of using a pitcher, we'll take another look here at Knebel. Yeah, went right down right away. Gosh,
Yeah.
that's tough to see.
Yeah. In a game like this, you hate that, right? You hate to see it anytime, but particularly in an 8-0 game, as Hernan Perez is going to take over. He pitched last year.
He's trying to get the final out here instead of using a reliever, getting a reliever warmed up. Manny Pena is going to come on to play first base. Puts Aguilar at third base. And Perez, a position player, is on the mound. Well, he is a man for every position. And he'll get a chance to try to clean this one up and not have to use another pitcher in this game if you're Craig Counsell. So La Stella's at-bat continues. There is a 1-1 count. Sophia will be in the clubhouse after the game for Brewers Live. And we'll get a report for you on Corey Knebel as soon as it becomes available. You're hoping for the best of a cramp. Worst case scenario is a torn hamstring. La Stella into left. Braun is on the run, and he's got it. Perez with one pitch gets the final out. Brewers do not have to use another pitcher, and we're headed to the bottom of the 9th inning. 8-0 Cubs. Tough night at the office for the Brew Crew tonight. His season debut as a starter after pitching out of the bullpen for a couple of outings. So the young Woodruff against the savvy Kyle Hendricks. Tomorrow, 6:30 airtime on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Ryan Braun will lead off for the Brewers. Sogard to follow, and then Jesus Aguilar. It'll be Eddie Butler, who pitched 7 innings in relief in a loss to the Marlins. He took the loss in that game after pitching 7 innings out of the bullpen.
No kidding. 1 walk, 5 punch outs, and the omens worked, but the Marlins able to get to him. One of the many additions in the offseason to this Cubs pitching staff.
Braun with a hit tonight. He's doubled. He's walked, has a steal. 1 out of 2 at the plate. Brewers were shut out on a 5-hitter last night. Only 4 hits tonight. 3 of those 4 by Jesus Aguilar. Well, this game is secondary right now with Corey Knebel leaving the mound a moment ago. What looked like a hamstring injury.
And you understand why Craig Counsell brought him in. It's been almost a week. You don't want to keep your closer on the sidelines, you know, any more than maybe 3-4 days, and especially with Knebel.
Braun out on strikes. Big swing and a miss. And 1 away. I go back to that spring training outing early in the exhibition season with Knebel pitching on that wet mound, and you know, concern then. Corey at that time came out of that with no problems at all. Said it was just a precaution, felt a little tight, the mound was wet, it was cold, didn't think anything of it, and he pitched the rest of the spring. He pitched well, showed no signs of any injuries, and then pitched in the first 2 games.
Well, you just
he went down quickly.
Yeah, you just don't know. I mean, you don't know the source of it, or you know, they loosen up. They loosen up before the game. They certainly have to go through a program of stretching out and getting ready to warm up, and it just stretched it.
Well, if Knebel is going to be down, just to speculate, if he's not available for a while, figure Matt Albers is the next man up for the Brewers in the bullpen to close games. So they do have some experience in their bullpen to cover. Jeremy Jeffress has closed before.
Right? I mean, he's big time for the Brewers. Well, we'll see. You see, well, certainly you figure that a move might be made tomorrow.
Little flare into left, going to hang up there for Hack. 2 outs. Every manager has a backup plan for a closer due to injury or ineffectiveness. You always know who your plan B is. The one intriguing name out there would be Josh Hader. We'll have to see how Counsell wants to work it once we find out the result of the injury on Corey Knebel. Try to get you as many answers as we can tonight before we leave the air. Jesus Aguilar trying to make it a 4-hit game. He's matched a career best with 3 hits tonight. He has been one of the few bright spots in this one. Aguilar in a 1-2 count. Wipe it clean and do it tomorrow. Brandon Woodruff against Kyle Hendricks. Don't forget that is a 7:10 first pitch again tomorrow. 6:30 airtime. Saturday is a 3:05 start. Sunday at 1:10. That's a ball game. And a night to forget for the Brewers here at Miller Park. The Cubs win 8-0. Back-to-back shutouts against the Brewers. The Cardinals last night, and the Cubs here tonight. First time the Brewers have been shut out in back-to-back games since the 2015 season. Time now for Brewers Live. A lot to discuss here tonight. Dario Melendez standing by. Take it away, Dario.
BA, you could say that again. A tough loss made worse by the fact that Corey Knebel, their all-star closer, going down with an apparent left leg injury in the 9th inning. We'll head inside the clubhouse on Brewers Live and get the latest on the Brewers all-star closer.